So, when used in free space, half the energy is in the magnetic field and the other half is in the electric field. Again, showing us the electromagnetic field or wave. When speaking in terms of esoteric knowledge or ancient wisdom, we discover electric as being masculine and the feminine is considered the magnetic. So this is how we're getting into terminology with how, we describe our world today and how we understand, the visible and the invisible, and what our ancients described, how they described these very same things that they were aware of and had understanding of. So this information, it leads us to understand that electromagnetism is really the ultimate duality found in all of nature. And when we dig deeper into translation, we'll discover more information to support the dynamics of the supernatural being expressed in the natural, or the spirit being expressed in matter or the material. This also reminds me of Hebrews 11:3 in the Bible that reads, "By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible." And this is what I shared earlier. One thing that's important about dissecting the scriptures with investigative discovery of the different layers and levels of meaning and interpretation are the necessity of looking at words not only in their original language, but also in context. The Bible was first translated into the Greek, so we can start there. But typically the Greek, as well as discovering the root words, the prefixes, and etc. But typically the Greek is the precursor to Hebrew, Aramaic, or the original language. The Greek word for electron is posted in the video, and that will show up. That showed up earlier, and it might come back around in the video, but it's also the root of the English words electrical, electricity, electron, electric, electrician, elect, and so forth. Many understand the word electron as being a derivative from Phoenician word elekron, which is Elekron, and means shining light as well. The Hebrews use both the prefix and the suffix of the word El to display or indicate the power and might of God. So we have words like angel and Elohim and electricity and so on. Even today, electricity is referred to power as power, and as in switch or turn off and on power. So we see these associations with electricity and electrons, electrical, as well as light and light angles and so forth. These things they're married, they're associated, they're telling us something, and they're telling us the same thing. And I'm going to throw in a little extra information that I've recently learned that can add to this marrying of the words and the terminology here, and understanding what's being expressed, from the people in ancient times, to modern day science. So let's look at astrology real quick. Interestingly enough, astrology has much to do with angles. Look at the astrological world. It's made up of words like seek, or angles being conjunct and sextile and trine and square and opposition. It's about angles. And this is in, the astrological world. So here again, if we take the concept of heavenly host or light beings, and then we're talking about the scientific, terminology of the astrological world, being described in angles, we can see again the marrying of the concept and how we're saying the same things, but what we'll talk about later is how it's expressed differently based off of experiences that were different from now. So, I want to address this point before I go further and before I share some of this new information that I came across, and I'm going to enhance, more as this series progresses. I don't have an end time for this series because I'm going to share things as I learn them and process them and research them and, making sure that they fit. And that I'm sharing what I think is true and accurate information to the best of my knowledge. But before I go on, I want to address this part, and it's the notion that angels are merely angles of light. So am I saying that angels are just angles of light? No, I'm not. Not just do I believe, but historical evidence highly, highly supports the notion that angels are not just angles of light. There's so much more to them than that. I believe there's, more to angels than a scientific term for light angles, simply put. I'm certain that angels are intelligent manifestations of light created by God and used as messengers for us. Now, in ancient times, if you read the ancient scriptures and, other extra biblical texts and historical texts, and just even archaeological records that are coming to light, we see that our ancient ancestors seen angels as gods, not just messengers, but gods. Even we're told in the Bible that there were angels who were called watchers. There were 200 of them. And these angels, decided to procreate with women. So, we have historical documents that talk about these angels, these manifested light beings as coming into the earth, and basically breaking laws, breaking cosmic laws and natural law by procreating with humans, and considered fallen angels because they broke, God's law. It says they left their original estate, and they didn't stay the course and stay in their own lane, basically, and do, what it was that they were created to do. They broke laws, and we know what happens when you break the law. There's consequences because there's reasons for the law to be in place in the first place. So, no, angels are not just angles of light. Matter of fact, the more I come to understand some things, or the more I'm learning and investigating, it seems like angels are more like angles of light today. So we experience angles of light, but we really don't experience, most of us don't experience angels of light. So I'll touch on that. But as I said in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 14, it says that angels are ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. Angels are God's children, and they can manifest into corporeal beings. That's the only way they could procreate with a human. Let's consider that if we're a spirit, which is biblically said to be God-breathed and is where we get our light body, then we can get a preschool understanding of an angel of light's ability to become corporeal and possess a body. Angels cannot reproduce outside of a body, nor are they given into marriage, as Matthew 22:30 alludes to. So my point is that angels are more than a scientific term of the modern day. They are also entities, and they have bodies of light as their origin, but they can manifest into a corporeal body, and they can interact with mankind, and in fact, they do. So this is going to conclude, part 2 for Angels of Light, which is really part 1. But I had to break this up into 2 videos. So anyhow, the next set of material that I'm going to cover with the next video is going to be, Angels of Light as sprites. So this is a new term, that's hit the scientific community, and it's really, interesting what they have investigated with these sprites. And we're going to dive into that. But before we end today's show, I do want to share with you the information that I have come across recently, and I cannot recall this man's name. I just can't. Oh my goodness. But he has created what is called the Thunderbolt Project, and he has a lot of it's really a whole scientific community, and they are studying the universe, and they are, talking about gravity and, dark matter and black holes and, supernovas. Like they're shedding a whole new light on how we understand the universe and how we see it, and how everything is very, electric, and the plasma, and how it intercourses with the electric universe. So now they're calling it the electric universe. Well, anyways, he has a theory called Discourses of an Alien Sky. And basically what Thunderbolt Project is doing is they have, studied the ancient texts, what's been written in the caves and the earth, and these statues erected, from ancient cultures. And they have basically shed some new light on the universe. And what they're saying is that the heavens was a very different place. Everything was very different thousands of years ago. I think they're saying around 10,000 years ago, right around that, pre-Adam stage. But not 100%. But basically how the planets were, they were roaming in the sky, and they were formulating patterns and manifesting on the earth. And basically these planetary bodies were considered gods, and there were entities associated with them, and they performed great acts in the heavens. And there's a lot that they're sharing. So basically it was a whole different world and a whole different heavens. And we read in the book of Enoch and in the Bible, there is a great war in the Mahabharata. It talks about a great war, like 10,000 years ago, where the the heavenly beings were warring with each other, and it was destroying the earth. And this is in historical and archaeological records. Like, the world experienced this war in the heavens that affected them. And so, the Thunderbolt Project is exposing, what is really going on in an ancient cosmic world that we cannot identify with today. And in the Bible, in the book of Enoch, it tells us that these planets, who are called gods, were called wandering stars. They left their original course. They left their original heavenly domain. They broke laws, and after the flood, they were judged. The flood came, they were punished, and basically set on a trajectory and on almost like a prison type of path, a set course where they cannot move about freely as they once did, and cause the disturbances that they caused on the earth. So we'll notice that for thousands of years, we have a very orderly sky and heavens, and these planets are on a set course. They don't leave or divert from that course. And so therefore, they can become quite predictable, but this is not how it used to be. But my time is up for today. I appreciate you all joining me. I'm going to touch more on the Thunderbolt Project in a later video. You all have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon in the next video.